I, 17M, am fed up with my entitled sister and my mom who always sides with her. Every special occasion has been ruined by them, by user_ICID_COCOLATE_. When I turned 16, I wanted to go to an amusement park with a few friends to celebrate my sweet 16. I had been looking forward to it for weeks and even saved up some of my own money to buy snacks and souvenirs. My mom said my sister had to come even though I begged her not to bring her. She promised my sister would behave, but I knew better. From the moment we got in the car, my sister started complaining. She didn't like the music, the seatbelt was too tight, and she didn't want to sit in the back. My mom immediately snapped at me to switch seats with her, so I ended up crammed in the back while my sister stretched out in the front. At the park things only got worse. She refused to go on any of the rides my friends and I wanted to try. Every time we got in line for something she whined about how it was scary or boring and demanded we go somewhere else. My mom told me to compromise and let her pick some rides, so we ended up wasting nearly an hour on kiddie rides that none of us wanted to go on. When we finally got to a roller coaster I had been looking forward to, my sister threw a full-blown tantrum screaming that she was scared and didn't want to be left alone. My mom forced me to skip it and stay with her. Then came lunch. I wanted pizza but my sister demanded burgers. My mom said it was easier to just get burgers to avoid another meltdown. While eating, my sister knocked over her drink and started crying about how her clothes were wet. My mom blamed me for not helping her sooner and made me give her my jacket. The rest of the day was just more whining and complaining until my mom finally decided we should leave early because my sister was too tired to keep going. My friends were clearly annoyed and I felt embarrassed for dragging them into such a disaster. There were plenty of other times she ruined my day, like my 14th birthday party and much more. But honestly, it is too much to even write about. I am just counting down the days until I can leave this house and never look back. Mother has been stealing money from family members, by user Asteriangel. Hi everyone. I've just found out my mother have been stealing money, Christmas/birthday gifts normally, from my children and my siblings' children, her own damn grandchildren. It has all come to light on Christmas Day when we celebrated at my sister's home. After leaving, she messaged a family group chat to ask if anyone had seen the envelopes that she has hidden in her room. These envelopes had cash gifts inside that were given by various family members to my nieces, ages 8 and 13. Upon returning home I checked through my own kids' gifts in case someone picked it up by accident in all the excitement and mess. Turns out there's money missing from my daughter's own envelope as well, which had been stored in my purse during all the fun for safekeeping. I mentioned to my sister I was also missing money given to my daughter as a present. She said she would let me know if anyone says anything. Turns out our mother confessed to her the next day, saying she stole the money. In total, close to $300 had been stolen from her 3 granddaughters. She was confronted and she gave the excuse that she needed the money for medical reasons. Mind you, we live in a country with free healthcare, so that was a poor excuse. Then she said that she spent her best years raising us as children and now she has nothing to show for it since we all moved away. I don't even understand that excuse. She still tried to speak to us as if she's done nothing wrong and she never returned the money despite the requests. I am one of 7 children aged 40 to 25 now, all of us are grown with jobs, our own homes, partners. My father is still living and working still to provide for her as she has never worked a day in her life. She could have asked any of us adults for help if she needed it, but she felt entitled to the Christmas gifts given to her own grandchildren. I am just disgusted and disappointed. Reddit. I didn't think I'd ever have a situation where I would have something to post. Thanks for letting me rant. I hope everyone has a safe and happy holidays. Update, thank you for all the advice, my friends. To update you all, some extra stuff has come to light where my mother has taken money from others in the family and even visitors in my brother's home. These incidents have happened over the last few years. We sat Dad down and let him know about what had happened. He immediately paid back the stolen money to the children. He apologized on her behalf, which we said was not what we were after. We want her to apologize. Mother said she needs the money for a breast biopsy. I work in healthcare and so I asked where she was going and what scans/blood work/investigations were done to this point. She couldn't answer any of the questions. She also told my sister she needed $600 for the biopsy, and she then told our dad that she needs $1,000 for it. This isn't the first time she has been vague with her medical issues with us. Our dad offered to take her to her biopsy, but she declined and said she had organized a lift but did not provide any further details. Going forward, most of my siblings are planning on limiting contact and work with our dad to organize further checks for her. I have brought up the dementia assessment and potential counseling for her to sort through what issues she may have. Ultimately, all of us are disappointed in her choices and we said we cannot excuse her stealing from our children no matter the reasoning. Wish us luck. My 15 years old sister is a thief and my parents do nothing, by user historical_low_2554. This has been happening for years. At first, I thought I was losing my stuff, but one day I found some books I thought were gone in her room. That's when I realized my younger sister is the one taking my things without permission. In that incident with the books, I confronted her, told her they were mine, and demanded she return them. She refused, we struggled, and she ended up hitting me and making my lip bleed. And guess who my parents blamed? Me, for not sharing. How am I supposed to share something if I was never even asked for it and she just took it? This happens every time I catch her taking something of mine. I'm always the one at fault for not knowing how to share. This makes me feel completely unprotected in my own home. Not only do they fail to respect my belongings, but it also seems like my parents justify her behavior. The last time I realized she had stolen something from me, my markers, I didn't say anything to anyone. Just took them back, bought a combination lock for my backpack, and now I keep all my valuable belongings secured. I mean, if my parents won't do anything about their daughter being a thief, then I have to protect my stuff from her myself. I'm so tired of this situation, and my parents don't seem to realize how serious this problem is. How can I make them understand that my sister needs to face consequences for her actions? This isn't just about me. If they keep enabling this behavior, eventually I won't be the only one affected. Sooner or later, it could impact them or even people outside our family. If this is how she behaves at 15, I can't even imagine how much worse it will get when she's older. My 21F parents, 51M and 45F, think I have a duty to uphold their wishes and marry within their set conditions, by user throwaway_L16. I have had a long struggling relationship with my Muslim, moderately religious, parents for years. 4 years ago, I moved out of my house for college and I finally felt like I've discovered my own identity. 2 years ago I met my incredible boyfriend, who is a kind, dedicated, hardworking, and responsible individual. Everyone I've ever met talk about how much of a good man he is, and I believe that. I am now about to end my senior year and I might have to move back home as the rising cost of living is making the advent of moving out after college unattainable. I've since had merry quarrels with my parents about how they treat me like a child and as an extension of themselves, which is genuinely starting to drive me insane. On top of that, my parents have the idea that I am of age and I should be getting married soon. While they are liberal enough to believe that I should choose who I marry, they have set the conditions that I can only marry someone who is our ethnicity, from our home country, and a practicing Muslim by birth, not conversion. Now I am not religious at all, neither is my boyfriend, but he grew up in a Catholic family. I do see a future with him and it's frustrating that despite being an incredible person who any parents would be happy to have as a son-in-law, his arbitrary birth identity prevents us from being together. I tried to have a discussion with my parents about how they see me as an extension of themselves, which got us into the conversation of obligation versus duty. My father said that he has no obligation to financially or physically take care of me since I am above 18, yet as someone who loves me, he has a duty to take care of me as a father. He explained because he loves me, he chooses to continue to support me. In turn, because I love my parents, I also have somewhat of a duty to uphold their wishes as a sign of gratitude for the love they have shown me in turn. This explanation was so bizarre to me, it's making love sound transactional. He said that if I were to marry someone of a different religion, he technically could no longer consider me family since religiously, I would be separated from them. But he also said as a father, he would be deeply hurt as it would seem like a betrayal. This is so unfair. To love someone, to get married, and to have a new family is one of the biggest decisions one person can make. I find it so ridiculous that I have a supposed duty to make one of the most important decisions of my life based on what my parents think is my duty. Abuser stepbrother and entitled mom update, by user Moni photograph 4176. Hey everyone, been a few months and I had some PAP asking for updates, so just wanted to confirm I'm alive and healthy. Forgive me if I don't do a recap, but seriously, I've done too many. To begin down the list of updates, my mom has finally been arrested. Turns out she never became a citizen, just a resident, so she might be facing deportation rather than jail. Either way works for me. I heard from her last a bit before Christmas through some friends of her, now ex-friends, who came to ask me why I had accused my mother of tax fraud. They were under the impression my mom sent me monthly allowances because I was a failed college student. Took 10 minutes to correct the story. Turns out keeping your diploma on the wall corrects misunderstandings about who was the leech fast. My mom's sisters have been a nightmare in social media, to be honest. Blaming me for everything. Saying it's my fault the family's name has been dragged through the mud. To be honest, I am planning to change my name to remove my mother's surname. I made sure to post that. That only made things worse. They even had a Catholic priest call me because he was worried I was not honoring my mother like a good Christian should. Imagine his face when I told him I decided to convert to Buddhism, a full-on lie. I'm happily agnostic. Nothing against him, I'm sure my aunts fed him some BS story. I decided to visit Chris in jail also. This was more for my satisfaction than anything. A last foo if you want to see it that way. He never got the money to post bail, so he's sitting in jail until trial, sometime in January if I remember right. Gotta love court backlogs. When he saw me, he called me Mi Vida and tried to be lovey-dovey. I was a complete bitch and brought in my boyfriend. Remember my coworker who was a big and scary teddy bear? Things happened and we got together. I told Chris this was the last time we would speak. I loudly call him out for being a bastard and a pedo. I told him he was a monster for kidnapping a baby girl and who knows what sick fantasy he had for the poor thing. I also found out the cousin he abused was younger than me. I called him out for being a mid-30s bastard touching a little 9 years old. He began crying that he was sick, but he knew my love could cure him. I told him I already had someone I loved and this was the last time I ever exchanged words with him. I just wanted him to see me in a good relationship with my life relatively put together despite the years of abuse he inflicted on me. I also swore I would make sure the cousin he abused will have a good life too. I left after that and pretty sure other inmates in the room heard. I overheard a guard swearing and calling for more guards to escort Chris. He gave me a tired look as I passed, so I did feel bad for putting extra work on the man. I have been in contact with Chris' cousin as I promised. She's about the same age I was when Chris did his worst assault on me. Thankfully in her case it didn't go as far. Her mom has been very sweet and supports us talking. I also told them if there was ever any need for support, emotional or monetary, to just give me a call. I made it clear this offer was for the family except my ex-stepfather and Chris. They've been nothing but kind to me and apologetic for not noticing the abuse. I can't blame them since we barely ever cross paths. As for the house I wanted to buy, unfortunately I didn't get it. That's okay, though. Since I started a new relationship, I decided to pause too many big steps. It was stressing me out and this is my first formal relationship to begin with. A small sad news is my cat of 23 years, she made it there, God bless her, passed away. She had an aggressive form of mouth cancer that just made her waste away in days. After much thought, I let her go. I couldn't see my best friend of 2 decades suffer like that. That was another reason I am glad I still live with my half-brother and his family. My nephews have been my greatest supports during this loss. And not wanting to jump the gun, but I got permission from my boyfriend to post this, I'm also now learning to take a more maternal role. My boyfriend is a single dad to the sweetest 4-year-old. Her mom sadly passed away when she was a baby, so I am the first female figure in her life as a partner to her dad. We're not jumping to being mom right off the bat. I'm her dad's friend. She has warmed up to me very fast and I've come to love spending time with her. She even made me a drawing of my cat with little angel wings so I always know my cat is watching over me. I gotta admit I teared up at that. So, yeah, life is somewhat back to normal. Good news mixed with sad news. I'm learning what it's like to be with someone that actually likes me and respects me. All in all, I'm doing much better.